All right, it's 9 o'clock hour. Every Thursday, we have Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert, and we're going to talk about how our brain works. All right, Edward 씨, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first Thursday of the rest of your life.
Whenever you said that, it's like, oh, okay, 조금 scary. All right. Well, it's really cloudy this morning, and it has been cloudy. It's June gloom, they said. It's a May gray, June gloom. But in Los Angeles, it has been that way, right? It's
True.
kind of a recent thing.
It's been on and off, but it's been pretty hot.
Uh-huh. It is hot, but the June, especially kind of the gloomy days one after another. What's your mood in gloomy days?
What's my mood?
Yes.
Well, actually, I look at it in a positive side.
Uh-huh.
And I'm up here on 6th floor,
Uh-huh.
and it's pretty nice.
Uh-huh.
And we told you before, it's an amazing view up here.
Right.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, personally, I really like the cloudy day, but because it's a clear and sunny California, there's really not many cloudy days until recent, like a June or May. Well, so I'm kind of enjoying it. It's more like, no offense to this area, but Seattle.
Yeah.
It's more like a Seattle weather.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? We're talking about power of mind.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the event. It's not about what you see.
Uh-huh.
It's about how you put your meaning into that.
Right. Well, I mean, but you see a lot of people around you. Some people get so affected by these kind of weather.
True.
Some of the people, I cannot even try to talk to them with these kind of weather.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who. All right. We're going to have a power of mind. Today, we're going to talk about, try to understand what you're going to talk about. So, we're going to talk about part.
Yes.
What is part?
Parts. What's a part? It's
What
a
is a
chicken,
part?
Chicken parts. Chicken
Well,
parts from McDonald's.
like an auto part or computer part?
Yeah, it's not a hard term.
Uh-huh.
Parts. I mean, a part. It's apart from the whole being. That's a part.
Okay.
So there's something that I want to talk about today because this is one of the tools that I utilize in my coaching sessions.
Okay.
And this is one of the tools that it's having a greater effect in sense of helping my clients to going through the breakthrough.
Okay.
And it's been so effective. And it is not a really hard understanding subject. It's actually the part of us that's holding us back to get what we want to have in our life.
Oh, so it's a part of us part.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there is a lot of a meaning for part. So
Yes.
that's why. Okay. So what's holding us? Like what kind of aspect holding us back from our life or happiness?
Yeah. So let me take you back to the last session. Remember we talked about two wolves living within us.
Right.
Remember that story with the Indian chief and the grandson?
Oh.
Teaching the grandson?
Okay, for the audience, please remind us.
Yeah, so here's the scene. The Indian chief was sitting with the grandson and he wanted to teach a lesson, life lesson to his grandson. So he told his grandson, hey, grandson, so within us there are two wolves living in our mind, and one's a bad wolf and one's a good wolf. And the good wolf has all this loving, passionate compassion and empathy and all that, and the bad wolf has all the fears, sadness, guilt, hurt, and all those are in him. So in our mind, those two wolves continuously conflicting and fighting each other, right? So today I want to talk about the bad wolf.
Okay.
What's holding us back? What's keeping us from trying to lose weight, try to make more money, try to be a millionaire like next door neighbors, and try to have a six pack like my friends?
Let me
and
see.
all that. So what's holding us back?
Laziness. procrastination.
Procrastination is one of the big issue. Yes.
Right.
So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about how we create it, why we create it, and how is it helping us, or sometimes how is it harming us.
Okay.
So that's what we want to talk about today.
Okay.
And this is a very, I want to say it's a very big thing. If you understand how our parts being living within us and sometimes helping, sometimes harming us, it could be a great breakthrough for us.
Right.
So I'd like to recommend to listen very carefully because I'm going to do my best to explain what this is.
Okay.
And try to get to fully understand it. And this could be one of the biggest breakthrough that you're going to go through today. It'll be an aha moment for you, and it'll transform your life in a way that I do with my clients.
So is it these things holding people back is for most of people is kind of a similar thing, or everybody is really different?
Everybody's different. I want to say this: everybody's different because we're living a different life, and there's all different kind of parts that we're living with actually, and we create it. I mean, do you believe? Let me ask you this question first. Do you believe that we were born as a whole being? When we came out from mother womb, you're smiling. We were fresh. We were like joyful. We were fearless, and we were compassionate, and we were playful. We were totally confident. And psychologically, the only fears that we were born with are the fear of falling and the fear of loud noise. So, but as we're growing up, something happened. A lot of things happened, and then we
something happened. I just gave you some sign.
Yeah. And we developed some learned behavior reasons, and that's what we want to talk about.
Okay. All right. So everybody's a little different aspect of holding us back.
Yes.
Okay. For better understanding, maybe for my case, if you give me some example, what kind of things are holding them back, probably we're gonna understand better.
Okay. All right. Let me give one of the examples that I had with my client. Okay. So, I had a client who was working for this big internationally known clothing company, and she was in charge of social media marketing. Right? She was very successful. The career was thriving, and she was very independent, and so she was a very intelligent woman who seems like she had everything in order. And she was living in a beautiful condo by the beach, and she was driving a luxury car, and she had a beautiful looking golden retriever. She was always coming in a session. So at first I thought she had everything in order, but in first session she utterly broke down in tears, and she told me she's utterly miserable.
She's not happy.
She's not
with
happy.
all those things.
Yeah, she's desperate to want her life back. Right. So we'll dig into that a little bit more, and then she told me that she's overworked and she's always inundated with all this numerous major ongoing family issues and struggling with that, and because of that she started to disconnecting herself with the people she care about, and she's also afraid that she may lose these people she dearly care about.
So one of those Hollywood movie plot.
Yeah. And it was pretty intense.
Okay.
And she gained almost over 65 pounds in 6 months, she says, because all these things going on, and her health was deteriorating mentally and physically.
Emotional eating.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last week, right? So. And then recently she even had anxiety attacks, and that landed her into emergency room more than a few times. So she felt extremely miserable, and she's feared to live almost in sense. So we had all that breakthrough session in first time. So what I want to do was that I want to give you an assignment. Usually I do give an assignment because number one, I want to check their commitments, make sure they're committed to change, transform themselves. So, and then that has to be there. I mean, I could input my 2 senses, but if they're not committed to changing themselves, it's not going to work.
Right.
You have to be, almost decided and desire and desperate about changing yourself. So I gave an assignment, fun assignment. I thought it was really fun. I told her to go out at the beach, at beach pier, at the pier, go out to a pier at the beach because she lives by the beach. And I told in one weekend when there was a lot of crowd there, I told her to dress like a gothic style. and the reason I told her that was because she said in her school life, she was that.
Oh, okay.
She was always wearing black, dark,
Yeah.
and she loved like horror movies and she's what do you call it, like metallic rock music.
Evanescence.
Yeah, things like that. So I told her dress up just like that, black makeup and all. And so she said, and I told her wear black wig too. So she did that, and then she said, I told her that bring out a guitar and a hat, and I want you to set yourself up on one corner at the pier, and I want you to sing.
They're gonna give you money.
Beautiful love songs,
right?
Serenade the crowds. And I want you to sit there until you collect $30 in your head.
So they're gonna give them money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I told her that, she freaked out. She said, no. She said, I can't do that, and on and on and on. So we had a little session, and she said, okay, I'll do it. So she went out. I know that weekend she went out there, and she said she's going to go out there about 10 o'clock and start doing that. And she said about 12 o'clock comes around, she gave me a call. She said, I can't do it. And she was in tears and scared and all that. So I said, give me what emotional things that you're going through right now. What's an emotion that you're experiencing at this moment? So she said, I feel extremely fearful, shut down, disconnected, bit of hatred, angry, sad, and even feel guilt, a bit of shame. So I had a little bit of session with her, with a little bit of coaching through the phone, and I said, okay, let's find out what that root cause is. Where does that come from? And then I figure out that, listen, we actually agree that in her past life, when she was young, she experienced many fearful moments because her parents were always arguing, fighting, and most of the times it ended up in a physical confrontation. And that came from her mom somehow hated her dad. So she's always never around. She's always trapping by herself. And when she came back home, there's always a fighting. So she ended up going to a room, hiding in the closet, and then she had creating this part.
So kind of a separated, parting from these.
Yes.
What's happening?
So whenever she come up to the similar situation, that part comes back to her.
Okay.
So that was a moment of breakthrough for her.
Okay. Well, it's a great thing is that she found out.
Yeah, because I told her, listen, that part, that emotional behavior that you're having right now, it was a learned behavior when you were young. But that behavior was created by you to protect you. That's a protective mechanism you created to protect yourself when you have getting into that kind of situation, that kind of a fearful situation. So it's a good thing.
Right.
You created in a positive intent.
The survival instinct.
But now you create that when you were young, helpless, and you were scared, and you didn't know what to do. But great news here is you are a grown-up, older now, and you are strong, you are powerful, you are intelligent, and you're independent. Now it's time for you to let that go because you don't need it anymore.
Quick question. So how long does it take when you actually find out that, the actual factor holding her back? Well, everybody's different, right? But like her case.
30 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah. 10 minutes I had to calm her down. I had to sit down and physically I had to calm her down and then go through a little bit of meditation and a little bit of visual meditation through the phone, and then she calmed down, and I asked her to go back and a bit of like hypnosis. I want to say take her back to that root cause.
Yeah.
And talk. You know, I talking to the unconscious mind. Take you back to the root cause, and go back to that moment, and tell me what you see, what you hear, and what you feel about the things that's going on right now. And then that's the part of the tools that I have to bring out that moment back. So so that's how he did that. So I have her, and another good thing is that, listen, that little part is just a part. And I'll go through this later on today, but that part is just a part of you. It has nothing to do with whole self of you. This is not your characteristic. This is not whole personality. So tell your part, you don't need that right now. Get over it, drop it, and move on and finish the assignment.
Okay.
So she did finish the assignment, and she came back over $50 in hat.
I guess she could sing.
So we had a good meal. She bought me a meal.
So you actually wait for the time she's doing that. She was doing that right in front of her house. You're waiting inside the house?
No.
Later?
I wasn't there. She
Oh, okay.
called me, so I coached her through the phone.
Oh, okay.
But this is one of the many cases that I go through with my clients, because we're so inundated with the life, we don't realize there's a resource within us that we could reach back. And it's just like we got too much things going on. We have no time to think about who we really are. And then we so easily assume that we are that.
Right.
So, I have this dark side. I shut down, I disconnect myself, and they just go that road whenever they face certain situations. They comes up. So, once you label yourself, that's who you are. There's no possibility there. There's possibility to transform yourself to the next level. So I want to let everybody know that it's just a little part, and you created to protect yourself long time ago. And who was that? Dr. Morris Massey, the sociologist who wrote a book called The People Puzzle. And he talks a lot about how human beings created our values. So we'll talk about that next. That's
okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about it. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who's our personal development expert. And we will be right back after this song. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, a personal development expert. We're talking about how brain works. Today, we're talking about what holds us back from being happy. Well, you just gave us example of your client. And you mentioned a little bit about the Dr.
Morris Massey.
Well, could you tell us a little bit more about him?
Yeah. This is... Well, first of all, I'm really excited because we're talking about breakthroughs. We're breaking through today. Yeah.
This is your passion.
This is my passion.
Yeah.
I want to give, and create more breakthroughs, one person at a time. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. And then, just before we start, I can tell you're not a Norabang singer. Because you always don't speak to the microphone.
Oh, that's different. I don't.
That's what I can tell. But anyways, go back to the doctor.
So okay, The part that we're left with, Dr. Morris Messi is a very famous marketing professor, and he's a sociologist, and he's the author of this great book called The People Puzzle.
People puzzles.
Yeah, and in that book, one of the part that I really love about is that he's talking about how person develop the life values and beliefs.
Okay.
And there's a stages like as from the time you're born to 7 years old, he called it imprint period. And that's the period that you kind of like grasp all these characteristics and values and belief from the person or people who raise you, like your parents.
Okay.
So you are like imprinting everything they do, everything they say, and you just turning into them, trying to turning into them, and that's where the values and all that that builds it. And it's a very, very important period of human beings' growth. And the next stage is between 8 to 4, and it's called modeling period. And that's where now you have a basic value and belief from your imprint period, and then in modeling period you model the people around you. And now this is we're talking about your brothers, sisters, or maybe uncle and or maybe grandmas around you, and then you're picking up their values and their beliefs, right? And then you build your values. So I want to talk about those two. I mean, there are next social values, which is like 15 to 21, which is that you get it from your friends.
Okay.
That's why that's the most hardest period for them. That's a teenager period. And they don't listen to their parents. They don't listen to anybody who they've been around. Now they said, no, I already know that. Now I wanna hang around with my friends.
Okay.
Right. That's the period. And then the next one is a business period, which you pick up your traits from the works and business that you're doing or whatnot. So anyway, that's the thing. So the reason I want to talk about this is that you pick up these parts, the parts that you picked up in imprinting period and between the modeling period, it lasts all your life. That's why these parts are sometimes so hard to let go, right? And I don't recommend you to let it go. I want you to embrace it. Just having a realization that it's there, but you don't need it anymore. Because it does not help you to move on and have what you want to have in your life and become who you want to become in your life or do what you want to do in your life, right? So, and the funny thing is that in that period, he says like the hero or idol that you were worshipped at when you're 10 years old, that characteristic is who you are right now and what you're doing right now in your life in certain level of shape.
Okay.
So think about that. I thought about it. I said, oh yeah, now that's why I'm doing this, that.
Who was your hero when you're 10?
It's kind of funny. When I was
I'm
10,
ready.
My idol was like a martial artist, and I watch movies martial artists and go into village and they help like, the village people, like helping them and fighting the bad people, and they were like built and they're strong and very powerful in martial art. So I think that's why I've been keeping myself fit, and that's my explanation.
Okay. I
Does
thought
that
you
make
said
sense?
village people, so I thought you said YMCA.
Yeah, I know you were gonna go there.
Now you know about me. All right.
And one of the very important things that I want to talk about is that if you have this part, keep on coming up on your life and you keep on utilizing these parts, the negative parts, now that can be a big problem. Because it gets to be more intensive. It creates more intensive emotions, and then it turns sometimes like a phobia or compulsions.
Right.
And then it takes to the next level from there. If you press off that threshold from that stage, it turns it into multiple personality.
Right. I mean, it could be a part of your personality, but if it's really negative and it could be a harmful, then comes to a problem, right?
Exactly.
So you try to fix people like from more negative to positive.
Yeah. So there's a simply, I mean, I do a lot to help them to embrace this and just not having it come up anymore in their life. I do it let me give you like 3 ways that I do it, simple ways that I do it to help have them to have a breakthrough on this. And number 1, this is something that we just talked about. Just having this realization that this part no longer needed in your life, because you're not kid and helpless anymore. You're grown, you're powerful, you're strong, you're confident. You can be anybody you want to be. So you could let it go. And because just realizing that you created in good intention when you were young. However, it's so powerful, it's stick with you all your life. So you'll never get rid of it. You just get to embrace it, and you just take a different choice. Instead, you're doing something different.
Right.
Not going to that dark side. Right? So just that will help. And that's the most of the time, initial stage of my breakthrough, of my coaching with my clients. So that's the most of the time they will have a breakthrough with that. Because nobody really realized that. Nobody really take time to step back and say, is this really who I am? Or is there other lot of things that's much more powerful and much more positive in me? Right? Because we're just going through life every day. We just don't have time to like sit and really smell the coffee sometimes. So that part helped to have them coming out and go through the breakthroughs, and help them to being powerful and confident and passionate about their life.
Right.
Yeah. And then number 2 is I utilize a technique, a neuro-linguistic technique called parts integration, and I put those 2 parts coming out on their hands, and we talked about that. And then interestingly enough, these 2 parts, ultimate intention and purpose, is to actually protect and help you. So having that agreement come up, this is about 30-40 minute technique I utilize. And if you like to know, you could give me a call and send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you about how the procedure goes. And that's one of the things that I utilize. And this is very powerful procedure, and it works beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then third thing that I usually do is I have them embedded a belief, empowering belief within them, because the human belief system is amazing. There's this funny story. Can I tell you a story? Okay, so there's this guy in a psych ward, and he's been treated because he believes he's a corpse.
Where's corpse?
The dead body.
Oh, 시체.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So doctor's been helping him out years and years, and then he still think that he's a corpse. So one day, doctor's really like, you know what I had with this? I'm gonna help this guy out, and I'm gonna fix his problem. So he had something came out, like light bulb hit the lid, and he says, "Ding! Okay, that's what I'm gonna do." So next morning he went into the patient's room, and then he says, "Let me ask you something. Does a corpse bleed?" And the guy's he had a little thought, and then he goes, "No, because we don't have any bodily liquid. We're dead."
Okay.
So doctor said, "Great, really?" So he pulled out a little needle, and he grabbed his finger and he
Boom. Yeah.
pricked the finger,
Yeah.
tip of the finger, and then surely enough, it was bleeding.
Yeah.
So doctor says, "See, you are not a corpse because you're bleeding." And then the corpse look at his finger, and then look at the blood flowing, and then he looked at the finger, and then he looked at the doctor. He says, "Oh my God, corpse do bleed."
Yeah. Well.
Okay, I won't say it's funny, but yeah. So our belief systems is very strong. So a lot of times I have this list of a powerful belief that you could embed in yourself to sometimes forgive the person that have you create that part, right? The negative parts. And so I want to introduce like few of them here, because I can't go through all 16 of them. So one of the things is that number 1 is people are not their behaviors, right? Meaning that people behave certain ways, but it's not their characteristic, or that's not who they are.
If it's a negative enough, and it's kind of a try to harmful their life.
Yeah, and this concept came from the doctor named Virginia Steer, who was a very famous family therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And one time somebody went in there and asked her, so how do you handle all these bad people coming in, giving you this bad behaviors and scary things and things like that? And she says, the way I treat people is that I don't see them as that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just their behaviors. Just
I
because
agree.
they behave that
Yeah.
way, it doesn't mean they're bad.
Uh-huh. There are no bad people originally. They're just
Exactly.
people with the bad
Yeah,
behavior.
and the reason they're doing behavior that leads to the second powerful belief is that everybody's doing the best they can with the resource they have available at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
My client's mom behaved that way in that moment for her to create that kind of negative parts or behavior. My client's behavior is because she may not have the resource that she needed to not to do that. And it all comes from emotions. And you know, a lot of people say it's hard to control the emotions. But with the dedicated commitments and the powerful decisions, committed decisions you have, you could always change your emotions. And you know, because here goes to the third statement, is that people have all the resources they need to succeed and achieve their desirable outcomes. We have all the resources that we have in us. You know, like Mark Twain quoted, people already know everything. They just needed to be reminded, right?
Or pick the right information
Pick the
in your
right
brain.
information. Yeah. For instance, when my clients are going into the negative emotions that doesn't help them to transform to the next level, I told them, like, you know what, close your eyes, go back to the past when you were amazingly happy, and go back to that moment, go right back to that moment. I asked them to step into that body and see what you heard and see what you see, and we'll see. Tell me what you're feeling at that moment. Tell me what other people are telling you when you're so happy in that moment. And that quick moment when they go through that and when they come back, 100%.
Well, it just reminded me of, you know, your original personality when you're a kid. You know, when you see the kid has that confidence because they have a simple life, and then they just have, you know, they just see all these positive things, not really negative things, because it doesn't really affected by all these, you know, surroundings yet. So when
they haven't learned it yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you mentioned like go back to your happy thoughts and stuff like that, maybe I would do like a kids' confident days. Maybe.
Yeah. Because all our life we're going through this stimulus response.
Yeah. What happened to us?
It's like an anchor, right? It's like an anchor. If you think about the happy thoughts, right, it come back. And certain things sometimes happens. It'll bring the happy thoughts. So that's one of the resources that we always carry around within us. Everybody, because everybody had a happiest moment in their life.
Yeah.
So you go back to that, anchor that, and bring it back to the present moment. Then there's a resource that you could utilize before you scream and yell and fighting and all that. Right? Unconsciously. So,
right.
So that's one of the things. And again, there's one more thing that I want to put in. Is that there's no failure, only a feedback, right? Because you have to understand that life is ongoing process. If you take the word failure out of your life, everything is process. Remember the lady, Amanda Eller, right? She never thought it was the end of it.
Right.
She said this was a feedback. This was a boot camp, right? Over spirituality.
Right.
That made her move on until she succeeds to get rescued. You know, like a Thomas Edison, he invented a light bulb. He fell 700 times, and then the reporter says, "How do you fail 700 times?" And you know, he said no. And then Thomas Edison said, "I didn't fail 700 times. I found a way not to make a light bulb for 700 times. And after I eliminated all the ways not to make a light bulb, I came up with a light bulb."
Right. Yeah, it just reminded me that when you mentioned the Amanda Eller story. I just recently saw another news that the Korean hiker also been missing for 5 days. So they're kind of looking for that person hopefully, the people
We'll
found them.
get
But
the happy ending.
yeah, and then hopefully he has that strong mind like Amanda. So kind of hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a kind of a reminder me.
Yeah.
All right, so we have every Thursday Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert, and we will be right back after this song. All right, every Thursday, Korea has a Power of Mind segment with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert. We're talking about brain, mind, and how powerful it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes you're very passionate, energetic, a lot of positive energy. I mean, that's all good thing. But, to be honest, sometimes I just want to kind of have relax, take a rest. Don't want to have a positive energy. I just kind of, relaxation.
Good.
Do you ever do that?
Of course. I am a human
It's
being.
like you're always wired. Well, I mean,
we have a tools.
yeah. Well, yeah. And then I'm just saying,
have
baby,
tools.
I'm always energetic.
Yes, you are.
24/7.
Yes. Yes, you are. I always wonder how you do that. Which is very good.
Well, 산삼. Wild ginseng when I was a baby. That's the key, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, it's too late then.
I know. That's too late for you.
Give me something that I could do. Not.
I don't know. Viagra.
Okay, let's move on.
Right. Okay.
funny.
All right. We're talking about Power of Mind every Thursday. All right. So we're talking about this parting, and then getting rid of all this negative thought from the things that hold us back from being happiness. Is there some books we can read about these kind of things?
Yes.
Could help us.
Well, there's a lot of book about parts integrations. However, the book that I brought in today is about emotions.
Emotions,
Yes,
okay?
it's about emotions because emotion is very, very important to us. We produce our behaviors based on our emotions. Yeah. And then emotions created in different ways. Sometimes a thought and focus that we have in our head, or even physiology creates certain emotions. When you were moving, running, and then you feel energetic, and then you feel and you got endorphins flowing out, and then you feel great, you feel confidence and all that going. Then that emotion, it creates the behaviors. So all the behaviors that we created from that emotion, and let's talk about the parts. We've been talking about parts. That negative emotion, it created different behaviors, right? Negative behaviors. So there's this very famous book. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And it's written by Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. And it's a very, very famous book. It's endorsed even by Dalai Lama. And he says, succinctly explains how to deal with the emotions creatively and employ our intelligence in a beneficial way. And this book, see, long time ago, I know when I was growing up, we always talking about IQ. We talk about IQs each other. What's your IQ? What's my IQ? And you must be really smart, and on and on and on, right? So sometimes we compete with our our IQs, and sometimes people lie to me about their IQs, right? But it's somewhere down the line, we didn't realize something. IQ doesn't mean you are a very productive person.
Okay.
And the study shows that people with the highest level of IQ outperform those with the average IQs just 20% of the time. 20% of the time. But the people with the average IQs outperforms not the highest level, but average IQ outperform those with a high IQ 70% of the time.
Okay.
Right? So we realize it's not an IQ that creates, productivities. ultimate productivities. And then we realize it's an emotion, because the emotion is directly connected to the behaviors that we do. And that, emotion is created by how you pursue. Like every day you says, like, do you ask me if I ever get like lazy or procrastinating and things like that? Yes, I do. But I got a commitment. I have a desire. I have a goal, and practice what I preach, and then I shift it, right? And then I create a different emotion, so I could create a different results, right? So this book is so awesome, and they translate to over 50 languages, and it's available in over 200 countries out there. And I utilize this all the time with my client, the long-term clients. And it also gives you a private, like a code that you could go into the website, and then you could test your own emotional intelligence. We call EQ, right? And how they did it was that they, in this book, will give you a different strategy. Well, first, this will show you what your emotional status is, right? And then it'll help you to create a different strategy to enhance that or develop that, right? So so they categorize it into, they call it competences. So they have personal management and social management. So in personal, it has a personal competence and the primary competence. And then social wise, it has a social competence and self-awareness and social management, right? So that's right, self-awareness and self-management. So it dissects you from my point of view, dissect you from the group point of view. So it's a great book. It's highly recommended. And the Dr. Travis Bradberry, he's a very funny guy. If you look him into YouTube, and sometimes he talk about EQs and how it affects your behaviors and things like that. So I decided to go ahead and pick this, because this is about the behaviors they're creating from a certain emotions they created in that devastating moments.
Okay. Yeah. Well, book title one more time, please. And author?
Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Gene Greaves.
Okay. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Okay. Okay. So it seems like it needs an update. 2.1, 2.2.
It's been around like that for many years.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so we're going to put that information up on the social media. And then along with, we have this twice giveaway. It's already getting a pretty big attention through the Twitter. I'm gonna put this social media information about this reference book, all our social media with the book cover and everything. So hopefully you guys have this book, and then hopefully that helps your mind, right?
Yep.
All right. So every Thursday we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert. And next week, it's always very interesting to how you talk about same topic very differently. So we're kind of learning. It's indeed a new subject we talk about in mostly Asian markets. So hopefully a lot of people, you guys are out there. And then when I talk to some of the people who already know about these kind of topics, oh yeah, great. And somebody who don't know, what are we going to talk about? So it's like a two different kind of responses. So hopefully we just help you guys, and then try to reset your button for your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we see different ways about our mind. And I like to say that it's not, we have this thought of that mind is very complex. But I want to say, the part of the reason that I'm out here and doing this is that I want everybody to know that mind is not that complicated. It's just the way that how you see it.
Right.
And that's why I want to dissect every little thing so you could understand, and that will help you to transform your life easily and effortlessly,
Right.
in your future.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Edward Shi. And then I'm gonna see you next week every Thursday. Stay tuned. 감사합니다.
Thank you so much. It was a great time, and have a powerful day.